Chooks has rightly said, I'll be the moderator for the Afterwork series for today. This will be like my first time attending this. I think this is my first time. Normally, I would, okay, let me start by asking, what do you do normally on Mondays after work? Or you can drop your response on the chat box. But for me, most times on Monday after work, I just tend to come home and relax, because Mondays we always have several meetings planning for the week. At the end of the day, you just want to relax. But when DTM Chooks reached out to me regarding the Afterwork series, the first question I asked him was, what's the purpose of the Afterwork? And his response was, it's give you a place, an opportunity to learn in a relaxed environment. So after the hard Monday work and all of the meetings, you still have an opportunity to come, relax, and learn. So today will not be different. Division K is hosting, like we are all aware today. So we would be having an opportunity to learn, and there's going to be a training session today. There's going to be a guest speaker. Immediately after that, we will take a Q&A session where we're able to address questions that come from the presentation we'll receive today. After that, we'll get a toast by the division director. While the meeting started, I have forgotten her name, but she urged everyone to get their glasses ready, handy, so that when the toast comes up, we are able to participate. So I would want to say that again. Please, if you don't have your glasses set, have them ready, your glasses and your wine, because very soon we'll be making a toast. Not to waste our time, quickly, we would go straight to have the training for today. Our trainer is someone who is not a stranger to the Toastmasters world. I think she was the last high flyer. I can't remember the name of the award, but I know she got an award during the last Toastmasters conference. That's to let you know how dedicated a Toastmaster she is. She's a writer, an environmentalist, and a serial table topics champion. Trust me, if you're attending a Toastmasters meeting and you see her in that meeting, the time for table topics, be sure that she'll be the first to raise her hands up. She's always participating, and she's inspiring not just me, but a host of us to also participate. Her hobbies she loves reading. Her hobbies are rather, she loves reading, eating free, delicious food, and exploring creative works. I think that she missed something from this hobby. She also likes receiving free money. She's currently on the innovative planning pathway. She's the Vice President Education, PEC 10 Toastmasters Club for Harcourt. Her favorite quote is, examine the labels you apply to yourself. Every label is a boundary. Every label is a boundary or limit you would not let yourself cross. It was a quote made by Wayne Dyer. So I would want us to welcome to the virtual lectern with an afterworks round of applause, Toastmaster Essie Okirika, as she gives us a training session on table topics. Becoming a table topic champion. Toastmaster Essie, the virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Wede, and hello, everyone. I'm very delighted and excited to be here today. Good evening. How are we? Trying to see more faces. I can see the Zing, DTM, and Wede's face. I don't know if I'm missing out on more faces. Or it's just the three of us that I'm going to be seeing. Please, I like to see our faces so we can enable our videos if you feel comfortable. Because remember, this is supposed to be a very chill environment. I am Toastmaster Essie, and I am excited to be talking today on the topic, becoming a table topics champion. So here we go. This is a run through of our agenda today. We'll just introduce the idea of table topics and table topics contest and Toastmasters. I'll be sharing some tips on how I feel you can improve your competence in becoming a better table topics speaker and a table topics champion and an excellent leader and communicator. And then we would move over to our Q&A sessions where we would explore some suggestions and questions from members in the audience. So here we go. Who can relate to what is showing on my screen right now? You can indicate by either raising your hand or sharing on the chat box if this is a feeling you've ever had at any time in your life. I see Toastmaster where they can relate to it. Is there anyone else? I see Shatwa, I see Grace Peter. Yes, I see Dizing Detail. Thank you. I see Ayodele too. Thank you. Please don't call on me. Please don't call on me. I don't want to feel embarrassed. I don't want anybody. I just don't want to be called. That is a feeling that a lot of us go through. Not necessarily when we're called upon to speak, but when we're called upon for many things. You can even be a child in a parent's home and you just don't want someone to call you to give you more work. Or in the office and you're in a meeting and they're exploring how to resolve an issue and you just don't want more things on your table. That fear of not being called upon is something that everyone goes through, not just in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives, and also when it comes to table topics. So whether you're a seasoned Toastmaster, whether you are now doing DTM, that is not a feeling that ever goes away. What just happens is you learn tips on how to manage it or how to handle it better. The key point I want to show here is that in becoming a champion, one of the first things you really genuinely have to work on is your mindset. You are always likely going to feel nervous or anxious when you're called upon, be it at a club meeting when they're asking for table topic speakers, or be it being asked to contest at the club level, area level, hopefully to division and district level. The thing about becoming a champion is that it is not that fear that, oh, people who we see contesting, they are very fearless. Wow, it seems like they're always willing to contest. No, they also have or go through these feelings. They're also very hesitant and worried about not being called upon. But as one of my favorite quotes says, in the other side of bravery lies courage. And one of the things I would first want all of us here on the call today is to first immediately believe that if you want to become a table topics champion, even when you hear this voice or you have these thoughts, please don't call on me, please don't call on me. It is normal, but yeah, you will still definitely need to show up. So that willingness to show up and say, I want to try, that is one of the first things in learning or in becoming a table topics champion. Today, I'll be talking on 3 key tips on how I have observed from my own personal experiences, and of course, the best way to learn from the experiences of others, up to those who have won at the World Championships, that I have seen that really help in how you become a table topics champion. So, tip number 1, prep. Who knows this word? Who has heard this word before, prep? In any contest, you can unmute. If you can raise your hand to share your opinion. When you hear the word prep, what comes to your mind? Shato, I don't know if that's an old or current hand. If it's a new hand, please unmute your mic and go ahead. When you see the word prep, what comes to your mind? Do we have any takers? You can use the chat box or you can raise your hand. Whether I also see your hand up. So when you hear prep, what comes to your mind?
I think it's short form for prepare.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Wede. I also see Shatwa. Thank you so much, Shatwa. Shatwa says when she hears prep, what comes to her mind is stats. Do we have any other? When you hear prep, we're more than 20 people on this call, so I expect to get more responses. When you hear prep, start, begin, what else? Did nobody go to boarding school? Okay, preparation. Thank you, Toastmaster Chooks. Preparation, I like that. Yes, because prep is a play on that too. Thank you. So from what we've heard from Toastmaster Wede, Toastmaster Shatwa, and Dizwing DTM Chooks, prep is about preparation. But in the context of today's conversation, in as much as preparation is something that would keep extolling its virtues, for today's tip, PrEP is actually an acronym. The first is for the word point. When you hear point, it just means opening. Now, for every time you have to give a Toastmaster speech, be it a table topic, be it an evaluation, be it a manual speech, there are 3 guidelines we advise for any speech. Opening, I need someone to complete the remaining 2. Opening, you can share on the chat box or mute. I'd really like to get more responses. Opening for any speech, opening.
Body and closure.
Thank you. Opening, body, and conclusion. Opening, body, and conclusion. Well, Toastmaster Hassan has helped to leak the secret.
In fact, there are 4.
Oh, there are 4? Okay, what is the 4th one, please?
Topics, opening, body, and conclusion.
What's the first story?
The title must be there.
Title, okay. Title, opening,
body, and conclusion.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for all our responses. Now, for any time you have to give a speech, there is a structured standard, at least in professional circles, where it would have an opening, body, and conclusion. Now, the PrEP strategy, PrEP stands for P for points. And points means what is that information you're trying to share? For example, you're asked, table topics, tell us a time you felt excited. You want to open, how do you open? If you have the PrEP formula in your head, you're like, okay, a time I felt excited. You're trying to think. The very first and easiest way to already start your opening is one beautiful thing I like in Toastmasters. Some of us come in and we start by greeting both our table topics master and the audience. But when it's in a contest, that's different. When it's in a contest, as you're coming in and you're getting, my hack is to paraphrase the table topic given. So if a table topic you've given is learning to lead is the best way to succeed. Learning to lead is the best way to succeed. And it's in the contest and you want to start. Learning to lead the best way to succeed. Even as you're trying to think, the first thing you can just do is paraphrase. Paraphrase just means you're repeating the same statement, but you're changing the sequence in which it comes. When I have to think about how a lot of people succeed, I have noticed that they had to first learn how to be better leaders. I have repeated the same question, but I have now paraphrased it, and it's a brilliant way to open the conversation. So the first P, that first point, is that it's a good way for you to first start by coming in, greeting your audience, and immediately paraphrasing how you open that table topic. So when we prep is for preparation, but it's preparation for P, points. What is the first point you're trying to make, and how do you open or get your audience to understand what you're going to be talking about? Our next is our reason. Please note that we'll also take questions after the session. So any questions you have, you can either use your chat, the chat box, or hold on to the Q&A session as I see some hands up. Prep. We've talked about our point, our opening. That is that transitionary space, usually between 10 to 30 seconds, while you're still thinking of what your answer is going to be. And an easy hack is to paraphrase the table topic questions. You come in, you're smiling, thank you, contest chair. I have realized that there really are multiple ways to succeed, but one key way is that you have to be a leader. Reason, this is when you're now moving into the body part of your speech. So why do you think that for you to become a good leader, you need to become a good leader to succeed? What's a good reason? Because our idea of success in today's world or into society is when you're able to influence people. Let's assume that's my reason. I would immediately think and say, oh, okay, instead of now coming and saying learning to lead is how to become a great, how to succeed. I have realized that a lot of people succeed because of how they have become good leaders. This is something I have seen play out, not just among people I see as mentors, but also in the world around me. You're now building your body. You've introduced by paraphrasing the question, and now you're trying to lead us towards your reason of why you think for anyone to succeed or for you to succeed well, you have to be a great leader. You pick your points, which is you starting or teeing up, And then you share your reason on why you agree with this statement, this table topic, or sometimes why you disagree with it, depending on your preference. And then you go to the next one, which is our E, example. One of my favorite things about Toastmasters is how it encourages us to know how to illustrate and buttress our points. Example in this context can mean multiple things. It can mean you citing, for example, a popular leader everybody knows. Learning to lead is a great way to succeed. I have noticed that there are a lot of leaders that have succeeded in the world today because of how they were able to inspire people. For instance, let us look at former President Barack Obama. He broke the bias in the United States of America when in 2008, he won under the Democratic ticket and became the first Black man to be president of the United States of America. I have given an example using someone that a lot of people within the audience likely know, a popular figure. I have shared data that is easily verifiable and it's factual. It is information that no one is coming to say, are you sure Obama was president? When? How? When we use examples that can illustrate our points, that is one key way when you're handling contests. If you're going to share things that are facts, please always try to ensure it is easily verifiable, accessible fact. If it's not information that you can easily say, oh, let's say if you read in an article, so you're absolutely certain that according to the Guardian newspaper, in 2018, they reported that Barack Obama won. Another way to do it, if you're someone who, for example, has read his book and you say, according to renowned author Barack Obama, who shared his experience as the president of the United States, what you're doing in all these instances, you're giving an example, you're connecting it with information people know, while still telling us about, remember what our topic was, about leaders who succeed. One thing when you have to go through a contest or you have to participate in table topics, whatever you're talking about, you should always start with an opening. Remember, you smile, you greet the contest chair, especially in the contest setting. Thank you, contest chair. You paraphrase whatever is the topic you're given. Paraphrase just means you rearrange the same topic, but you arrange the format in which the sentence or the phrase is said. You give your first body, your reasoning. You're still following the rule of a Toastmaster speech of your opening, body, and conclusion. And then there's our last part of prep, which is our points. Now, I started by telling you about, I believe that for you to be a great leader, or you have to be a great leader to succeed. I have now told you of a popular example we all know, which is Barack Obama, that I can easily connect with, or it is data that is easily verifiable. What I now do to end, because one thing in be it contest, any table topic you're speaking in, most times people listen for how you start and how you end. This is where I get the opportunity to reiterate my points. So for example, I can end by repeating the phrase I said in the beginning. This is why I know that all great leaders are, or all great people who succeed are leaders. When I think of the fact that Barack Obama was successfully able to sign XYZ bill, and today it is easier for people to have access to education, I know that indeed all great people who succeed are leaders. One of the things about the prep strategy is that it makes sure, or it helps you stay within that bucket of the Toastmasters expectation of following the opening, body, and conclusion. It gives you room for creativity because in the body is where you get to use either your personal example, you get to share verifiable facts. And then there's the point at the end where you get to reiterate your points to be sure that, because it's 2 minutes, to be sure that you fall within that boundaries of ensuring that everyone listening to you are getting what you're saying. So even if I listen to your table topics and when I'm coming out, the key is staying in my mind is, if I have to succeed, I need to be a good leader. If I have to succeed, I need to be like Obama. There must be something that your audience is taking away that based on how you have very brilliantly explained, this is the topic. This is why I really believe it. This is an example of someone I have seen it happen for. And that is why I keep saying that learning to lead is the best way to succeed. So prep can be for preparation, but prep can also be for you knowing your points, your reason, example, and repeating your point again. It helps you to follow the rules of any speech you give, be it in table topics, be it a manual speech, be it an evaluation. Always having your opening, body, and conclusion will put you on the path to becoming a table topics champion. We will now move on to point number 2, and this is my favorite point because it is use the familiar. If I had to ask here, what are some things we think are familiar for us? Just if you're listening, what's something that you think is familiar? Familiar to you, familiar to everyone, like familiar to Toastmasters. Yes, I think that what's something that is familiar to Toastmasters? One word answers. You can use the chat box. I am watching. When you think of things that are familiar to Toastmasters, what are one word things that are familiar to Toastmasters or in the Toastmasters community? Dun, dun, dun. There are so many words, there are so many phrases, so many things familiar to Toastmaster. Speech, thank you, Toastmaster Chooks. Anything else? Evaluation, another word. Any other? We need, what's a word like you hear it? Stories, thank you, Toastmaster Folusho. Learning, thank you, Moyede, Toastmaster Moyede. One of the things that happens in Toastmasters, and especially when it comes to being a better table topic speaker, I would always recommend using things that are familiar for you. Timekeeping, thank you, Toastmaster Naziru. Example, thank you, Toastmaster Shato. You see, using the familiar anytime you have to speak in table topics, it's one sure way of becoming a champion. We move from what we know to what we don't know. No matter a table topic that you're given, and I say this really sincerely, there is almost always a way to connect it to what you're familiar with. No matter a table topic that you're given, there's almost always a way to connect it with what you're familiar with. And when I say use the familiar, what do I mean by this? For example, familiar means things you like. I am someone who likes creativity. A lot of us here are people who have hobbies. Your hobby might be bird watching. Your hobby might be painting. Your hobby might be reading, like mine. Your hobby might be listening to music. Whatever your hobby, there's definitely something you like doing, something that you know you would do, whether or not you're paid for it, right? And when you have something that is familiar to you, it's always good to connect it when you're giving a table topics. You only have 2 minutes. You do not need to start pondering and saying, I need to think of something that, oh my God, everybody will feel inspired by. No. First start with the familiar, and you would be very surprised at how easily you would build from there. When we talk about the familiar, number 1 is with storytellings. As I said, hobby. Almost everybody here most likely has an hobby. Almost everybody here might be immersed in pop culture. Pop culture here means popular culture. So it can be with what is the most reigning movie or a reigning song or even a reigning world event, right? And then there's history. For a very long time, a lot of people would say, oh, some people do not know their history, but there are a lot of historical folk tales, a lot of stories that are tale as old as time that keep being retold over and over again. And of course, the best source of knowledge, your life experiences. You and you alone know the kind of experiences you've gone through and how it would connect when you're telling a story. In addition, there are contemporary themes that a lot of us use. Money, when Toastmaster Wede was introducing me, he laughed and said, oh, it should be written here that Toastmaster Ese likes money. It seems funny, but money is something that everyone, it is the legal way we use to exchange and do transactions in the world. Love, who here has not felt love, be it for a partner, a family member, a child? Faith, conversations around faith, about belief, about understanding yourself or understanding man's role in the universe. These are some things that you would find that everybody in a way can relate to it. Let's give an example. Now, distinguished Toastmaster Jukes had put evaluation. He's giving a table topic now and they say, tell us about a time you got an evaluation you hated. That can easily fall in the bucket of life experiences. It's once someone asks an evaluation you hated, I am definitely saying, oh, I got an evaluation that I did not prepare well, even when I knew how much I stressed myself. That is a story I can already tell when I decide to give that table topics. Oh, good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I cannot deny that since I have joined Toastmasters, I have received great evaluations. Watching my growth has been amazing. But I would not forget the first time I gave an icebreaker and I was told I was standing like a stick. Toastmasters and guests, I felt so bad. But after the evaluation, I remember that the club president called me outside and gave me more tips on how to ensure that I use my body more when giving a speech. This is how I'm able to build just on the idea of evaluation, connecting it to life experiences. Or let's speak by Toastmaster Naziru that says timekeeping. And someone asks a table topic in a contest scenario where they ask you, sorry, please, as always, let us mute our mic and remember that we'll take questions after. You have to explore timekeeping. And the question says, do you think we respect time in Nigeria? I'm absolutely certain that if you already think in your bank of memories, there must have been an experience when you might have waited for someone or you missed an opportunity because of time. It is almost immediately a topic you can easily connect that everyone listening in would understand. I remember a time I had to go for a wedding. We got there, the wedding was supposed to be 12. The caterers did not come to 3. That is me already talking about food, which I cannot deny is a personal favorite topic of mine. But for food at a Nigerian event, I am sure no matter the diversity of the audience, people would already be able to relate on missing an opportunity, or missing a bus, missing a trip, or missing out on something because you were confused about the time. That is something people can easily relate with. And then let us think of, for example, I see iGallery, I don't know who that is, that shared becoming. And someone asks, when you hear the word becoming, what comes to mind? I can immediately tie it to a Toastmasters theme. That one of the things that happens to you in Toastmasters is how you transition, how you change. When I see the kind of person I am becoming, I am excited. When I think of how, if you had asked me 2 years ago to do this presentation, I definitely would not even be on this call. But I now see the difference in how much easier it is. It doesn't mean I don't get nervous. Oh, trust me, I still do. But when I think of how I have grown since I've become a Toastmasters, since I became a Toastmasters, I know that I'm becoming an even much more excellent leader and communicator. When we use the familiar, we use contemporary things that people can connect with. We draw from our life experiences, from our hobbies, from conversations we hear and things happening around us, or we even connect to the past from our folklores and our history. It is another way in how we would get good, valuable content that we can easily share when we participate in table topics contests. Zoom Master, please help mute anybody else that's speaking. Thank you. And then my last tip for today would be the judging criteria. Now, this was a tip I literally learned the first time I had to participate in table topics contest in 2020. And in the Toastmasters website, one of the first things they repeat all the time is to confirm the judging criteria. It seems funny, but most times when it comes to contests, most people say, oh, okay, I'm going to treat it like a table topics, but you're about to become a champion, the best in the game. So you have to come fully prepared. And if you view contests just like an exam, there is literally, it is there, it's not hidden, that this is the way you are going to be judged in the contest. It is a criteria that you see. And so you already know how your points would come in. For example, speech development. How did you put the ideas that they could understand it? Did they have an opening, body, and conclusion? Like, that's the rules. So automatically, as you're preparing on how to become a better table topic speaker, even as you go about in your normal club meetings, you always would try and practice that, oh, I should always ensure that I have an opening, body, and conclusion. Am I using examples? Am I sharing the verifiable facts? Is how I'm telling my story connecting with it? Effectiveness. Oh, Are we able to get the main point this person is saying, that learning to lead is a great way to succeed? Was it logically presented? Did we get it well? And then there's, of course, delivery. In Toastmasters, because of how much emphasis we pay on body language, because your body sometimes speaks even louder than your voice, the way you present yourself, the way you're positioned, the facial gestures you're making, how you use your hands to make emphasis, those are things that are also graded. So in becoming a champion, be it in table topics, in manual speeches, in evaluation, always ensure that you understand the judging criteria and you give speeches that fall within those boundaries. Most times it might seem for table topics, I just want to make sure that I don't beat the time. But if you come and your words are clear, you sound like everyone can hear what you're saying, but your vocal variety is very, very dismal, you're already losing out on 30%. Or you come and you're not properly dressed, you look shabby, everywhere looks scattered, you're not, so, and I said, if you're telling a good story, it's already distracting. And that's you losing out on 30% of your delivery. And of course, because it's Toastmasters, your content. You have to come, tell us how you would connect with whatever topic you give from things you already know. Ensure you fall within that boundaries of opening, body, and conclusion. No matter the kind of champions you want to be when it comes to public speaking, so long as it's a contest, get familiar with the criteria that is used for judging. Especially with Toastmasters, it's a very open community. The information is out there. Get familiar with it. And as you practice, rate yourself, record yourself and rate how you think you would score using this set criteria. So, in conclusion, this is one of my favorite images because it tells us about how we practice, how we use our bodies and our minds. And I'm going to recall our 3 tips. Remember, first of all, to prep. What did you say prep was again? Prep is point, reason, example, point. The way you paraphrase, when you paraphrase the table topic as you're introducing it, you give us a reason on why you have chosen that stance. You share an example using verifiable facts or illustrating with your own personal experiences or telling a story. And then you conclude by reiterating that point to ensure that the audience stays with that message. Our second tip, use the familiar. What are those themes, those stories people can connect with? Your experiences with love, your experience leading as a Toastmaster, your hobbies, the things you like, or even your personal experiences, or go back in the past. What using the familiar would give you great content in whatever speech you're giving, but especially when you're giving table topic speech. And the final tip, follow the contest judges guide. There is a judging criteria and practice using that criteria to rate yourself in how you participate in table topics contest. And I absolutely believe that if you use our prep strategy, you follow that rule of having an opening, body, conclusion, you're illustrating or sharing your experience using the familiar that you can feel comfortable sharing or that way your audience can easily understand or connect with. And you ensure that you fall within the boundaries of the judging criteria. You too would be a table topics champion. Thank you. And I guess it's back to you, Toastmaster Wede. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Estee. I don't see us giving her any encouragement. I don't see us clapping. Oh, I see some emoticons now. Thank you, Toastmaster Grace. Please, can we come off mute and just give her a round of applause for such a great presentation? I'm waiting for us. Quickly, let's just come off mute and give her a round of applause. Oh, okay. I see that we prefer to use the virtual round of applause. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Estee. I had my notes here and my note is full. That's what I would say. Quickly, we'll be going over to the Q&A session. It's going to last for some few minutes. We're already way behind allotted time for this. So quickly, if you have any questions, we can raise our hands and I'll call on you. While we get questions, I would like to ask one, Toastmaster Essay. For me, the first time I attended the Toastmasters meeting, it was virtual, and I was called upon to give a table topics. And trust me, it was difficult, very, very difficult. Particularly because at that point, I could not even think. I was trying to, the pressure of speaking did not even allow me to think. So if I can't think, how do I use this prep method? So what my question is, how do you deal with that tension at the beginning of a table topic? Because you had also shared that this tension is something that even veteran Toastmasters, they still feel. So how do you deal with it? That's my question.
Thank you, Toastmaster Wede. If I understand you correctly, you're saying even with those nerves and that anxiety, how to manage it if you feel like my brain is blank, there's no information, I don't know how to answer this, right?
Exactly.
Well, if for a new Toastmasters or someone who is still very early in their journey, one of the first ways we always start with is, as I said, repeating the question, but you start immediately by greeting the audience and introducing yourself. It is almost interesting how you can spend up to a minute introducing yourself. So a simple hack I would always give everyone is when you're asked any table topic and you come and say, oh, hello, everyone, good evening. I'm so happy to be here today to see all our faces. I am Toastmaster Wede. And being able to participate in these table topics is definitely an experience that, although I feel nervous about, I am sure I may or may not have something to say. So when I think of this question, I feel when you try that, just introducing yourself, talking even about how you're feeling. So even being vulnerable to say, I am nervous. I have seen instances where we had guests come in that they didn't even speak for up to a minute. And they're like, okay, they would still share a part of what they know. So my first tip would be, if you're in any situation, even if not a table topic situation, where you get a question that you feel like you're drawing blanks, it doesn't hurt to first reintroduce yourself, appreciate everyone for being there, thank them for the question. While you're doing this, of course, you're speaking clearly, but very slowly too. And I feel that would make you manage your nerves better. And then another way would be easily, my tip number 2, connecting back with the familiar. No matter what you're asked, I was in a meeting where someone said, I really love this question, but honestly, when I think about it, I don't know if I have an answer on why I cannot speak my language. But I do know a language that I like and wish I could speak. So I will tell you about that. So another thing I have noticed that it's very easy to do is, if you think for this question, you literally have no information, pick one thing in that question that you have an information about, or you wish, or you would like to talk about. That is another strategy I would advise. You greet and welcome the audience again. You reintroduce yourself. You repeat the question. And if you still feel like you do not have anything to say about it, go on the opposite. What do you know about something in that question? Throw more light on that. That is a strategy I would advise. And of course, because this is Afterwork, practice really does make progress. I recently listened to one time a table topic I recorded, and I was offended when I watched that recording, because I was like, please, I can't, like, I evaluated myself, for lack of a better word. And I was like, oh no, that's too basic. I'm bigger than this now. But why I'm confident and I can say this is because I have failed in so many, or at least my definition of failure. Like, I have practiced so many times. I always like participating in table topics because sometimes it forces me to learn things about myself. I did not know who Jabba and what, if not for table topics. It seems funny. There's so many information you just learn. So it's also to keep practicing. Reintroduce yourself, thank the audience. If there's nothing you can connect to in that topic, like you're drawing total blanks, pick a word from it that you can already connect to your experience and keep practicing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Essay. We see why she is a table topic champion. So perfectly delivered. I don't know if you have any other question. quickly, if there are no other questions, then we would quickly go to what we have next on the agenda. I said this at the beginning of the meeting. Have your glass set by your side because we are going to be making a toast. That's the
Looks like the glass has taken our moderator away. You see that he drank from the glass before he started talking and just disappeared as soon as he was trying to pull the rest of us in. But that said, according to our agenda, we'll just go on and take the toast while he rejoins us in a minute. To do that, I already see Jagaban has a bottle of water, whatever we have, let's get that out. And if we can share videos here, let's do that, please. To do the toast for us will be our division director, the DNA Toastmaster, Dr. Nelson Ayodele. Didi, sir, please. Okay, Toastmaster Wede, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. In a bit before you come back.
Okay, let him go ahead with the toast since he's prepared for it.
No, good evening, sir. It was supposed to okay, introduce you. That's the point here.
Okay. Wow. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. First and foremost, I want to ask and request that we give our facilitator another round of applause. I was really impressed with that presentation. And I think I will be toasting for that fantastic presentation. But in addition to that, we need to toast to the health of each and every one of us present on this call. We toast for the progress of our club at the global level, district level, division level, area level, and the club level. And we toast for individual progress for each and every one of us, members of this division. And last but not the least, I want to toast the fantastic presentation of Toastmaster Esi Ogene. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers to Esi.
Cheers, 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 cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, Dizingditian. Cheers,
cheers.
Cheers, Didi.
Cheers,
Master Wale
cheers.
Thomas. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Over to you. Dizingditian. Okay, I think
so that's just to say thank you. Toastmaster Mavis, are you able to say a few words just before we go? Okay, I take that sharp unmuting and muting to be the words that was supposed to be said. But just to say thank you, everyone. I think this has been a well-spent time. Thank you very much, all our role players today, excellent facilitator, super moderator, Toastmaster Wede Otokumo, and the one, again, back to our facilitator who we have learned so much from today, Toastmaster Esi Okerika. Thank you. It's been a really good session, and I think it's been good on so many levels. We won't finally manage to get to the point where we close just about when we planned to initially, despite starting a bit behind time. So thank you on behalf of District 94, especially the Anglophone clubs within District 94, which have come together today for this afterwork session. I'm saying thank you to everyone who has pulled in together, and let's make it a date again next week, Monday, as we have another relaxing evening and take our growth journeys one step further. With that said, have a lovely rest of the week, everyone, and peace.
Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Semola Olawale, bye. Thank you.
Let me say, how are you?
I'm very well. Bye.
Jem Wale, I salute you, sir.
Dr. Nelson.
Bye.
Yes, good night. Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Nice
night.
seeing you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night rest.
Bye. Yes, sir. Bye.